Set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take 1.
Action!
AKA Patters, you know what happens here on the weekends. Now, weekdays, it's animation. Weeknights, we educate. It's documentary time. But right here, we're emulating waking up. And this was mostly in the 80s. So you would wake up in the 80s, get yourself, you're still in your pajamas. The sun is creeping through the horizon. And guess what happens? You get yourself a nice, giant, colorful, cold milk bowl of cereal, brightly colored, lots of sugar, and you would just plop yourself down and watch cartoons until they rain its course, and then you would have to go outside and harass your friends' families. That's what we did. We actually played a lot of sports in my neighborhood. A lot of fun, very competitive too sometimes. But AKA Patters, we're talking about this. A lot of times we do a lot of pre-recording, pre-scheduled content. We're in engine now. The AKA Pad Army is approaching the schedule, so be on the lookout for the schedule announcement. I've been working on this for over a year, but we're getting close. Recently, a couple of days ago, I was watching Silverhawks. I put Silverhawks came up as a to-be suggestion. It was between Silverhawks and the 90s cartoon series, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. But I put Silverhawks on. And the reason, and this is why I bumped, because I kept going back to Silverhawks. I spent a couple of days going back to Silverhawks. And I just said, for today, because we just had more snow here in Philly. It's double digits temperature-wise. I know for a lot of you, it's a lot colder. I kind of saw Silverhawks, and I like just putting myself down and just forcing conversation with you, AKA Patters, because I know there's a lot of real historians out there that keep track of this podcast, and you guys chime in, and when you chime in, oh my god, it just makes me want to delete the episode, go back, re-record, re-release. But I think this is a part, we contribute to conversations, and a lot of times on this podcast, because I know I'm farmed by a lot of the bigger accounts. I create threads for other individuals, for other personalities, for other shows, and that's fine. That's my role. But I do feel like I deserve credit. And what we're talking about here, let me just breach it real quick. Silverhawks, it's cosmic horror. I'm watching this, and the character design, not the Silverhawks. I'm talking about the supporting characters. I forget his name. Like who's the guy that runs Silverhawks? Who's the guy in the suspenders? Hold up here, Tallyhawk. Maybe Silverhawks characters. We gotta look this up. So I'm watching it, and it is, here we go, Commander Stargazer. I'm watching this, and it's almost like too wild and creepy for kids. And to counter that, right? Like, we have Silverhawks and Thundercats. And Thundercats was 1985. Silverhawks, 1986. Thundercats roughly ran for twice as long as Silverhawks. So that means that it's on toy shelves for twice as long. It's a little bit more embedded into the culture. Thundercats has the logo. They have the theme song. And I will say the character, since Lion-O is more of a analog for the audience, more of an avatar for the audience. We see the entire universe. The Trials of Lion-O, still one of the best 5 parts of all of 80s animation. We put ourselves in Lion-O's shoes. I think Lion-O is way more of a adaptable character that the audience sees themselves in. And then we get the contrast of Silverhawks, right? And we see a little bit of a trend here, my AKA Patters, where a lot of these shows, the ones that are adults, like adults hanging out with adults that don't really include children characters, we can argue that the only exception to all of this is G.I. Joe. For some reason, G.I. Joe, all the adults in G.I. Joe, kids just want to be and be with. They just want to hang out with Alpine, for example. But when it comes to like Silverhawks, there's a disconnect. This is, in my view, later teenage years, early 20s type of space sci-fi horror. And it is cosmic horror. When we look at the villains and we look how deadly the villains are, and then we look at this as it's a militaristic operation. There's even less of a sense of exploration with this. Silverhawks, in my view, is more of a survivalist series than anything, and because of that, it's more stark and frightening. Thundercats, for example, and I like comparing the two, comparing Silverhawks, because we get like a third series called Tiger Sharks. That is, again, we're dealing with, I believe, 2 of the 3 same toy companies, but we're dealing with the same animation studio, and seeing the parallels of Silverhawks, Tiger Sharks, and Thundercats, but mostly Thundercats and Silverhawks. The parallels, the looks, the shapes, the proportions of the characters, even, and I know some of this is coming from the toy companies, but the types of vehicles and the functionality of the vehicles, and that, Silverhawks essentially had a floating asteroid. It's a hawk sitting on a floating asteroid, and that's their base. So there's a lot of this series that's just unattainable, and a lot of it leans into Japanese anime, things like Godmars. We talked about Godmars on this podcast before, maybe even a full year ago. And a lot of the Japanese animation, the science fiction elements of it, that were kind of in low level syndication. So you would get things like Thundercats on network television, but then you would get syndication. And syndication ran a little bit longer time wise. Like some of the syndicated stuff might run to 1 to 2 p.m. in some markets. Here in the States, we were done by the end of the a.m. when it comes to cartoons, and then the rest of the day, programming wise, would pick up mostly a Saturday morning movie or a local news segment would follow the animation blocks. And we ask ourselves, so why didn't some of these other Japanese titles pick up, even though some of them have teenagers and children as focal characters? We want to say maybe the space element is something that just couldn't really be grasped, and there wasn't much of a vernacular for it, or a need or a desire for it within the U.S. market. So Silverhawks echoes some of this, and they're hitting something that's hard to hit, which is space adventure. No teenage. I mean, I get it. I think Tallyhawk is the is the younger character, but we get this structure around Silverhawks that makes it fail. We see the appeal of Thundercats just as a quick contrast, but then you might say to yourself, well, what about Voltron, right? Voltron's very similar, but Voltron, right, was merged off of 2 separate series. So they get the animation from 2 separate cartoons. They smash it in, very similar to the way that they put Power Rangers together, where they were just kind of mashing stuff together, and then they were writing it, and then filling in the blanks, which is where sometimes in both of those series things just leap sometimes, and you just gotta go with it. But the human element, the will say the U.S. element of Power Rangers really hit home. But we have human characters, and we have younger human characters, and we have more of a journey, even with the princess becoming a member of the team in those initial episodes, to, again, be our avatar, be our voice, be our eyes, and pull us into the series. So I want to say that the vernacular of that was, or the what the audience could, vernacular was the wrong word, but what the audience could maintain, what the audience could accept, lived and died with Voltron at that point, because we have Brave Star, we have Centurions, we even have like Starcom, and all of these are adult. There's no child characters. Mask at least had the kid with the robot. So there's a pattern here. But then when it comes to Silverhawks and Tiger Sharks a year later, it's a downward spiral. Thundercats hit the element of appealing to kids. We even want to say kids knew what a cat was versus knowing what a hawk was. Sharks, scary. And it doesn't seem like, these aren't elements because they're meant for boys, and boys like, the Atlanta Falcons, right? Silverhawks. They're familiar with it, maybe to a point, right? The Seattle Seahawks weren't much during this time in the NFL. So now we have to look at Silverhawks as, what is it exactly? It's made by adults, featuring adults. And is it for adults? Is it truly cosmic horror? Because there's just visuals in this that I feel like are above the pay grade, are above the audience's head. It makes me want to learn more about this series. It makes me want to watch more of this series. And growing up, it was always Thundercats first, Silverhawks second, and do you remember Tiger Sharks, which is nuts, isn't it? But yeah, AKAPAD, it's just a little bit of a running thought. Wanted to share this with you guys. Let me know what you think. Is Silverhawks cosmic horror? I feel like it is.
Roll sound. Rolling.
Sound production,
Let
take
me
2.
cut in. Sorry, AKAPADers. I know it's such a hot, passionate episode, but I'm breaking the flow real quick just to remind you guys. If you want to support me, one of the best, easiest, and free ways to do it, leave a comment. Give me a like. I know there's someone out there that that loves film as much as I do, that love the film industry as much as I. Show this to them. Comments, likes, and reviews, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. We need to increase our reach, and to do that requires your involvement in everything that I do. We're linked. We're forever bound. You're the membrane. I'm the muscle. So guys, let's just do it. One review. Do you have it in you? Okay, back to the show.
Okay, that's a wrap.